Joining me now with reaction, Pete Hegseth, a Fox News contributor and the CEO of Concerned Veterans for America. Pete, I don't understand whether they just got rid of some old x-rays that they decided weren't necessary, because the Office of Special Counsel seemed to say, look, we don't need to look into this any further, because basically what happened was every VA was told that they could do a mass purge of all outstanding imaging orders, like radiation orders, and that's basically what happened out in Los Angeles. Is that all this is?
Oh, and that's why they wouldn't comment on it, of course. Of course, there's some of that, right? They were so far backlogged. There were some cases that have been resolved. Okay, we're going to deal with that. But you know what? This isn't new news. I mean, we've known they've been fudging numbers. They've been fudging appointment dates for a long time. What this is should be alarming, whatever adjective you want to pick, damning new evidence that they're deleting. They are, and the Marine that stepped up and said, I will not be a part of this. I will call my IG office and call out this department, said, because I will not throw other vets under the bus to try to make my performance metrics look better. And he believes, in the interviews, he knows that there were legitimate appointments with veterans still waiting who were canceled to make performance metrics look better. It's all about bureaucratic CYA, and that's what you see in this particular
In the law,
instance.
you look for corroborating evidence. So, you know, this is on paper, so they say they did cover up the fact that there is a backlog. Well, what's the corroborating evidence? Do we have veterans who are out there complaining that they've had appointments and they can't get in to have those appointments, and there's a backlog and nobody ever calls them back? Do we have that? I think we do.
I think we do. Got an email this morning from a friend of mine whose buddy who he served with at that very Los Angeles facility had sent in a request, waited months, then years, never heard back at all, almost died because he didn't get the didn't get the examination needed to identify what he was suffering from. And later on in that audio, they talk about dismissively just saying, well, some of them have died and some of them have had other appointments, so let's just delete them. They're not, this is something, they're not thinking of veterans as customers. They're thinking of them as numbers through a process rather than customers who need to be served one by one, because each one of these has a story. They've served on the battlefield of this country and deserve to be taken care of, and bureaucrats instead are covering their butts.
Let me play devil's advocate. What's the big deal? So you go to another hospital. The VA doesn't call you back. Go to another hospital.
You can't. You cannot go to another hospital. You don't have a choice, and that's something I think Washington should address. I think this facility would, if it had a competitor, a way that vets could go somewhere else to get this care, it might be accountable to provide better service. Also, those in charge of this hospital can't get fired, because it's impossible to fire a senior executive service member, something we're also trying to address on the Hill. So there's no accountability, and there's no portability, and there's also no transparency. You ask for comment, they don't give it because they don't have to, and they hide behind their paperwork and their titles, and no one holds them accountable. So if a veteran could choose, that'd be a great option. Unfortunately, they cannot. If you're stuck, you're stuck.
I've said it many times. My mom devoted most of her career to helping vets at the Albany, New York Veterans Hospital. There are so many wonderful employees who just want to help the veterans.
Absolutely.
And yet there are others who want to cover up malfeasance or negligence, sadly. Pete, great to see you.
Thanks, Megan.